Are we using the brown folder?
No. Yeah, no, this one Omar shared is not. This is the version that we were using for Kenjan Rinpoche's teachings. Yeah. So let me actually. Somebody has it because last time we were using it. Maybe Javier.
I have it. Yep, I was gonna say.
Yeah. So let me make you
Share.
co-host.
Oh, okay.
No,
Do you want
let me make you
me
co-host, and
to
what I'll
share
talk
my
about.
screen?
Yeah, share your screen, and then later I'll talk about how to get these texts. Yeah, which is part of what we want to talk about today.
Okay.
So if you can open that file.
Sure. Let me. Okay, I believe I'm sharing now. Can you see it?
Yes, we see it. I see it. I think everybody sees it. So actually, for as we say in often in Tibetan tradition, for the sake of auspiciousness, we say auspicious interdependence. Since this is the first practice session of the Drigung Dhammakirti International Sangha, so we should do the full opening recitation. And we are going to do these recitation just in English this time. So maybe you can even make the fonts a little smaller. I think this is quite, yeah, that's good. That's good, I think. So we're going to do the recitation in English. We're going to keep going. So more than those elements that I told you, so that we get a sense of what's included in the traditional opening recitation at Drigong Kagyu monasteries and nunneries and retreat centers in Nepal, Tibet, India. Obviously, Drigong Kagyu centers in various parts of the world have adapted their opening prayers. Every area, depending on the Lama, have a different version of the one that you're going to see now. This is the one that is commonly done at all Drigong Kagyu monasteries, nunneries, retreat centers. Yeah. So we're going to do these recitations in the style that is not exactly reading and it's not exactly chanting, it's somewhere in between, which is that we go pretty fast. My apologies to those of you whose English is not your first language. The reason we go a little bit fast is that it's saying one analogy given is like it's like flowing like a river. So then it's almost like the words are kind of glued onto each other, and they're flowing like a river. And it is said that this is the way that Kagyupas chant. When they chant, their chants flow like a river, continuously flowing. So to imitate that, so to say, we also do it in English that way. Yeah, but it's not quite chant as in, like, say, Shambhala centers. They have turned all their liturgies into chantable form. So we're not chanting in that way either, but we read it and think of it as flowing. So relax. If you can follow along, it's good. If not, visually follow the words on the screen. All mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness, may they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Bodhi. All other sentient beings, limitless as the sky, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness. May they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Bodhi. All other sentient beings, limitless as the sky, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness. May they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Bodhi. Thus, until I achieve Buddha, I engage in virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Until death, I engage in virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I engage in virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. All sentient beings, limitless as the sky, take refuge in the glorious kind root guru, the embodiment of the exalted body, speech, mind, qualities, and activities of the Tathagatas, of the 10 directions and the 3 times source of the 84,000 heaps of Dharma, and Lord of all the noble Sanghas. We take refuge in the kind root and lineage gurus. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of the idams. We take refuge in the Buddha Bhagavans. We take refuge in the perfect dharmas. We take refuge in the noble sanghas. We take refuge in the assemblies of Viraj, Dakinis, and Dharmapalas, possessors of the eye of wisdom. We take refuge in the kind root and lineage gurus. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of the idams. We take refuge in the Buddha Bhagavans. We take refuge in the perfect dharmas. We take refuge in the noble sanghas. We take refuge in the assemblies of Viraj, Dakinis, and Dharmapalas, possessors of the eye of wisdom. We take refuge in the kind root and lineage gurus. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of the idams. We take refuge in the Buddha Bhagavans. We take refuge in the perfect dharmas. We take refuge in the noble sanghas. We take refuge in the assemblies of Viraj, Dakinis, and Dharmapalas, possessors of the eye of wisdom. Until I attain the heart of Bodhi, I take refuge in all the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma, and likewise in the assembly of Bodhisattvas. As the previous Buddhas develop Bodhi mind and progress on the Bodhisattva's path, I too, for the benefit of all wandering beings, give rise to bodhicitta and apply myself to accomplish the stages of the path. Until I attain the heart of Bodhi, I take refuge in all the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma, and likewise in the assembly of Bodhisattvas. As the previous Buddhas develop Bodhi mind and progress on the Bodhisattva's path, I too, for the benefit of all wandering beings, give rise to bodhicitta and apply myself to accomplish the stages of the path. Until I attain the heart of Bodhi, I take refuge in all the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma, and likewise in the assembly of Bodhisattvas. As the previous Buddhas develop Bodhi mind and progress on the Bodhisattva's path, I too, for the benefit of wandering beings, give rise to bodhicitta and apply myself to accomplish the stages of the path. In the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until Bodhi is reached. By the merit of generosity and other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all wandering beings. In the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until Bodhi is reached. By the merit of generosity and other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all wandering beings. In the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until Bodhi is reached. By the merit of generosity and other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all wandering beings. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from the bias of attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from the bias of attachment and aversion. Bhadra Samaja, Bhadra Samaja, Bhadra Samaja. Protectors of all sentient beings without exception, deities who vanquish the ruthless hordes of Maras, knowers of everything as it is, Bhagavans and your retinues, please come here. Argam Padyam Pushpe Dupe Aloke Gende Nevede Shapta Pratitya Soha. This ground sprinkled with scented waters and strewn with flowers, adorned with the supreme mountain, 4 continents, sun and moon, I hold in mind as a Buddha land and offer it. May all wandering beings experience such a pure land. Whatever slight virtue that may have been gathered through prostrating, offering, confessing, rejoicing, requesting, and beseeching, I now dedicate to complete Bodhi. Namo to the Guru, the complete purity of phenomenal existence. I make offerings to you who manifest in the ground of phenomenal existence, and supplicate you for the total liberation of the 3 realms. Grant your blessings of dredging samsara from its very depths. Lord, wish-fulfilling gem, ornament of my crown, beyond word and expression is your victorious mind. Endowed with the 5 superior primordial wisdoms, epitome of love, the one with kindness, precious protector of wandering beings. I supplicate you in the innate state of my mind, bless me in that state of suchness. Grant your blessings for realizing this primordially birthless and completely pristine mind as the Dharmakaya beyond thoughts. To the Bhagavan, the Tathagata, the full destroyer, the completely perfect, fully awakened one, perfect in knowledge and good conduct, gone to bliss, knower of the worlds, tamer of beings, charioteer and unsurpassable one, teacher of gods and humans, the supreme and incomparable king of the Shakyas, who is free from the minutest stains, placing my head at your feet, I pay homage with devotion. When you were born supreme among humans, you paced out 7 steps on this great earth and declared, I am supreme in this world. Homage to you who was wise even then. Possessing a pure body and an excellent supreme form, an ocean of wisdom, a mountain of gold, famed throughout the 3 worlds, homage to you, the supreme protector. With the supreme marks and a face like the stainless moon, homage to you, golden-colored one, free from stains, there is none like you in the 3 worlds, homage to you, incomparably wise one. Supreme among humans, charioteer and tamer of beings, the Tathagata who severs the all-enmeshing fetters, who with senses pacified and utterly pacified is skillful. Homage to you who dwelt at Shravasti. You protector who possesses great kindness, all-knowing teacher, perfect one, basis of oceans of merit and qualities. Homage to you, the Tathagata. Purity, the cause of freedom from attachments, virtue that liberates from the lower realms. This alone is the sublime ultimate reality. Homage to the Dharma that pacifies. Having been liberated, you show the path to liberation, devoted to the moral precepts. You are a field of perfect qualities. Homage to you, the sublime Sangha. Now just relax your body and mind. Let's take a few moments and sit. And one pithy instruction on how to place the body, how to settle the body. It says, sit in Vajra posture. Vajra posture is what we normally translate in the West as the lotus, the full lotus position. But here, obviously, not all of us can sit in this way, including myself. I've never quite been able to fold all my legs together in the full lotus. But the key to sitting in Vajra posture is to sit in a way that is most stable, and most without putting strain on this part or that part of the body. Yeah? So in order to find that sweet spot, so to say, especially if you're not used to, not acquainted with sitting in a way that is stable, relaxed, but also conducive to the mind being bright. Because there are certainly lots of ways of sitting that is very relaxing, such as movie night, sitting on the couch. Not exactly the kind of sitting that we want to do here, but instead we want to find a way to sit that is stable, and also pay attention to how we might be putting too much strain or stress over here or over there, so that you have to slightly redistribute your weight. So they say that one way to imagine this is you sit in such a way, it's almost like a stack of coins, one stack on top of another. So your body upright in that way. Upright, not like an iron pole upright, because our spine obviously is not straight like that, but upright. Yeah, so legs seated in a comfortable position, not putting strain on your lower back especially, but also in a way that allows the mind to be bright, to be clear, to be luminous. And body upright, chin lowered. So you don't let your chin hanging like that. You pull them in. But not this way so that you strain your neck and the back, just slightly tucked in. Chin lowered. Shoulders spread wide. So you don't want your shoulders to cave in. So shoulders open. Even a little bit stretched to the back. It says it's almost like a lion, a proud lion. Shoulders spread wide. Meditative Equipoise Mudra held below the navel. The Meditative Equipoise Mudra is right palm resting lightly on the left palm, and the two thumbs are touching and held in front of your navel. Although here it says below the navel, but basically the below is referring to like this bottom part is below, and then this. So then your navel there, right? Your belly button, you could say, it's almost, you could imagine, it's in the middle of this space between where your thumbs are touching and where your fingers are resting. Somewhere in the middle is your belly button. Then vision simply settled. What that means is your eyes, we don't close our eyes actually. We leave our eyes half open and leave our eyes half open. Then the sight should go onto the bridge of the nose in that direction. Not like you don't like bring both your eyeballs to the center. When it says follow the bridge of your nose, is your eyes are looking straight, but it's bent down as the bridge of your nose is going down. So your sight is cast downwards. Then finally, tongue resting on your upper palate, so that the tip of your tongue is touching where your front teeth meets your gums. So these 7 points, it says. Don't get too rigid with the 7 points. Don't try to force yourself to memorize the 7 points. Whichever of the points that right now that I have mentioned, that is easy for you to remember, you keep that and you do that. Then the other points that you cannot remember, don't force yourself right now. Don't run back and say, oh, what was it? Just let it go. If you caught 3 points, then check those 3 points. If you caught 2 points, check the 2 points. If you caught all 7 points, check the 7 points. More importantly, the attitude that you bring to this is, I am now allowing my body to settle into its natural state. So the attitude is more important than the technique. If the technique is used when the attitude is correct, then the practice becomes very powerful. But if the understanding of the attitude is not clear, then all the techniques will just lead us astray. It will just create even more stress and suffering. And so first, we should enter this with the attitude of simply now getting out of the way so that your body can settle into its own place. I like to use that phrase. Let body settle into its own place. Let body find its own place of rest and clarity. So again, the 7 points is sit in Vajra posture, body upright, chin tucked in, lowered, shoulders spread wide, meditative equipoise mudra held below the navel, vision simply settled, and tongue gently touching, resting on your top palate of your mouth. Just let your body settle. It's easier to just think now. You're getting out of the way to let your body settle into its own place. As the body settles into its own place, the mind can then settle into its own place. That which connects the two, that which links the two is the breath. And so if you want to, if it is helpful, you can also rely on breath as that which connects the body and the mind, that which also powers body and mind, and therefore also allow breath to settle into its own place. But all three aspects of body, breath, and mind, don't relate to them as three things, but instead see that they are three sets of processes, all existing only momentarily, one moment of body followed by another moment of body, followed by another moment of body, one moment of mind, followed by another moment of mind, followed by another moment of mind, one breath, followed by another moment of breath, and another moment of breath, so that every moment is a fresh moment of body, fresh moment of mind, fresh moment of breath. All we need to do then is just to attend to this one moment, whether it's one moment of the body, one moment of the mind, or one moment of the breath. See the momentary nature of all experiences, physical experiences, body, physical processes, body, mental emotional moments, mental emotional experiences, mind, energetic experiences, energetic moments, breath. Nothing to do, nothing to accomplish, no place to go. Simply appreciate being content. Cultivate contentment in the midst of all these momentary experiences that arise and cease from moment to moment. Contentment as in it's okay. As Milarepa says, the world and its affairs continues on and on and on, and can never come to an end, will never be finished. And if at least temporarily right now we cannot say no to this endless becoming, endless doings, endless business, then we'll be dragged around again and again, helplessly and hopelessly. So instead of doing that, we say, it's enough. If your sight becomes tired, you can momentarily close them. And then before the mind becomes drowsy, or before thoughts start to proliferate because you have closed your eyes, because sometimes that happens, then you open them back again with that half open eyes, with the sight simply settled in that space in front. Give your body a chance to be unmoving. Give your mind a chance to be unmoving. Let body and mind and breath be in the same place at the same time. And be content with that. Be happy with that. If there is tightness and tension and pain in any part of the body, then as you breathe in, you can direct this breath to those places. And let breath ease the stress, the pain, the tightness. Breathe into that. So for breath, it's the carrier of life energy, life force. Sometimes called prana or vayu in Sanskrit. In East Asia, it's called chi or ki. In Tibet, it's lung. Literally winds, but we're not talking about gross winds or air. Wind is the metaphor for that subtle energy that has characteristics very similar to the way wind, to the characteristics of wind, which is it moves fast. It cannot be blocked. It cannot be seen, but it's there. So even though at the beginning of meditating using breath, indeed it is the oxygen that comes in the body and the carbon dioxide that leaves the body. At the beginning, it seems like that's the object, but the real object is the life force that lies underneath the surface. So when you breathe in, it's not so much breath or oxygen itself that you're bringing to those places in your body that is experiencing pain or dis-ease or discomfort, but it's the life energy. Where the mind goes, that energy gathers there. So if with your mind, with your heart, you think and imagine, as I breathe in, I breathe to that area. Poetically speaking, I breathe down to my knee, my right knee that is aching. Or I breathe to the back, to my back, lower back that is aching. Poetically, we say that. But what's going on is that the mind goes there. And where the mind goes, the lung gathers there. And when the lung gathers there, and when it gathers enough, it produces a heat that can burn through the blockages that's there. Okay, so now we can stop this very brief sit. So let's feel free to unmute ourselves, unless some kind of very, distracting feedback occurs. Otherwise, more naturally, if we can unmute ourselves, then we can maybe share questions or comments or anything, either regarding the opening recitations or regarding this very brief sit that we just did. Since we're all still kind of getting to know each other and to recognize who's who, it would be nice if you ask a question or say something to just tell us who you are and where you're from. Hopefully that won't deter anyone from speaking.
Hi, this is Fabiola from Asheville, North Carolina. So Dr. Lai, when you mentioned that lung energy, what's called lung, is that similar to the chi or the ki? Yeah, it's...
Yeah, I said, in East Asia it's known as chi or ki.
Okay.
In India, vayu prana. In Tibetan, lung.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name's Andrew. I'm from Rhode Island. Dr. Lai, would it be best, if we can, to focus on the heart center, at least the heart chakra, to try to bring the energy there when we're sitting?
Oh, no need to
try to control the prana like that. There's no
no. Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm more used to Tret Chud. So when you said this stuff, I was kind of like, all right, this is a little different. Let's see where we go with this. So
no need to do anything to deliberately move this lung here or there.
Okay.
Here, first of all, I think, of course, at various points, various practices, as you mentioned, there are very specific instructions. You do this, you do that. This is more a practice of letting body and mind settle. And as body and mind settle, recognizing lung, breath, or what we call breath or wind, as that bridge that bridges these two. And so at least this sitting that I think, each time when we start, we're going to do no sense of something we're trying to accomplish, except for us to touch base,
okay,
with both body and mind and breath, body, mind, and breath, for us to take a few moments to touch base, so to say, to check in and say, hey, you doing okay?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and then with breath, increasingly, I feel that the breath part, myself, I can tell you a little bit. From young, when I started using breath, I've always kind of had an issue with like focusing here. In part, I think because from young, I have allergies, so my nose is always itchy. Then when I put my focus here, gosh, I start getting itchy and it's so distracting. So I'm never really connected with this, Then even after my allergies went away when I moved away from where I was born and raised. So what to say? And when I'm in the US, then I don't have this problem anymore. Then of course I use, the usual instruction here. But increasingly, I feel that it's not really this oxygen that goes in and out that is the object, but rather the experience of breath is the object. And more specifically, that I find what's helpful is the sensation of your body like a balloon, expanding and then contracting, expanding contracting, I find that to be helpful for this purpose. So I offer that to you as something to try, to experiment. That is the sensation of breath arising and ceasing. So then from that understanding, it's also that ultimately breath is a property of the body. It arises and ceases in the body. It's not something outside coming in and going out, actually. That it arises and ceases, you could say, from the diaphragm, you know. And when life is not present, the air doesn't go in and out, you know. So in that sense, you know, breath arises from within the body. And that also, in a way, solves the mystery when in the, you know, Anapanasati Sutra, the sutra of the inhalation and exhalation, although, you know, the literal words is like that, when it says, the first foundation of mindfulness, mindfulness of body, oh, you focus on breath. You're like, what? Like, wait, didn't you say found, you know, mindfulness of body? Why breath? Because breath is the most basic, fundamental, necessary property of body. When that is not present, nothing else of the body functions. So breath is a property of the body. It's a subtle object. And it's also very useful because our minds are so acquainted to busyness. So sometimes like putting one object and say, hey, mind, you just focus on that, right? Can be hard, you know. Whereas breath, you know, it's always moving, you know, in a sense, but it's always the same in a sense. But it's neither. It's never always the same. It's never always different. Having said all of that, the attitude is more important to this simple sit, which is not the attitude of doing anything, but rather a chance for body, mind, and breath to go back to what's most natural to them, a chance for body, mind, and breath to be present together, experiencing each other, and being content that this is good, and this is good, and this is good. Sort of every moment, you have a feeling of this is good, this is enough, this is good, and this is enough.
Hi, I'm Francesca from Asheville, North Carolina. I tend to get less distracted with my eyes closed.
Mm-hmm.
So should I just learn how to do it with my eyes half open, or find something to maybe concentrate on?
Yeah, something to concentrate on, as in, you know, when your eyes are open, they're not looking at this here, there, and everywhere. Yeah, they're not looking here, there, and everywhere. So when it says, you know, like it follows the bridge of your nose, right? And then it goes down. So when it goes down, it's going to hit, right, something like here. For me, like right now, you know, it's looking at the key N on the keyboard of the computer, N. So I let my sight kind of fall onto B, N, and M, somewhere around there. Then it just rests there. It's resting there. It's not exactly focusing, but it's resting there. And later, Later stages of kind of developing the mind, and then moving more and more into the more specialized Mahamudra instructions. Sight and mind is closely linked. So it is good to try to begin to develop the ability to light sight, not closed, not wide open, but sight to be present and mind to be present where sight is. Yep. But again, don't force too much, So maybe each time you say, I'm going to, half the time I'll leave it, half open. Then when you find it like distraction, the mind goes somewhere, then okay, close your eyes. Then when you close your eyes for a while, then you say, okay, now I'm ready to try that method again. Then you can reopen. And then again, let sight just rest there.
I'll try that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all about, slowly cultivating and developing. Yeah? The word that we translate as meditation, the Indian word is bhavana. Bhavana, as some historians pointed out, in the Buddha's time, more commonly used by farmers to refer to what they do, to cultivate. In fact, in the Buddha's time, it was an agricultural term. But the Buddha chose this agricultural term for the spiritual work that he emphasized. He says, what we're doing is to bhavana, to cultivate, like a farmer cultivating his field. So you have to till the land, you have to clear the pebbles, you have to plant the seed, then you have to water, you have to hope there's enough sun. So that means choosing the right place. Then you have to weed. Every day you have to weed. If you one day stop weeding, then it feels like, I'll give up. I need to go find another field. Because the weeds can come up so fast, just like the actual garden. I always fail.
This is Kathy from Fairview, North Carolina, and I apologize. I was about a minute late, and so if you want to cover this, I'm sorry. But I noticed that in the opening prayers, it seemed like the refuge section of the opening prayers that I'm used to was expanded, and I wondered if there was anything you could say about that expansion and.
You mean the longer one at the beginning?
Well, I'm used to
the 4 lines.
The 4-part, yeah.
Yeah. This is a longer. I mentioned that what we did today is like the typically done at Drikung Kagyu monasteries, nunneries, retreat centers in Asia, in Nepal, India, Tibet, Bhutan. Then many Drikung Kagyu centers in the West, Drikung Kagyu teachers in the West, do a shortened version of that. In specifically refuge that you asked about, there before the usual 4-line refuge, there's an extended refuge where sometimes it's said that there are 6 objects of refuge, which is the usual 3, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. Yeah. Then on top of the 3, you have Guru, Yidam deities, and then Dharmapalas, Dakinis, and Viras. Viras means like heroes. The heroes, the Dakinis, and the Dharmapalas. So it sounds like now there is like 6 objects of refuge. But they are not 6 objects of refuge. They are the outer and inner aspects of refuge. They are the more historically bound objects of refuge. Buddha Shakyamuni, Dharma that Buddha Shakyamuni taught, transmitted down to us, Sangha, the community. Here, Sangha as an object of refuge, I think I've explained before, but let's repeat that. Sangha, there's 2 senses of the word Sangha. There's the sense of Sangha as in us, a community of practitioners. But Sangha as an object of refuge. In the Indo-Tibetan tradition, they make it very clear. Here we're not talking about the ordinary community. We're talking about if these are individuals on the Shravaka path, they have to be at least stream enterant. That means the first level of their 4 levels. And if we're talking about Bodhisattva, the Mahayana way of taking refuge, then these have to be at least the 8th level Bodhisattvas. Level 11 being, no longer Bodhisattva, but Buddha. Yeah. So Sangha is in that sense. So again, it's sort of like historically bound, a little kind of abstract, right? You're like, wait, who are these people, So they are called the outer aspects of refuge. The inner aspects of refuge is Guru. So Guru is the more intimate, you could say, aspect of Buddha. Then, superficially, Guru refers to the spiritual guide. But the spiritual guide is the one that we rely on in order for us to see our own nature, which is said to be the ultimate guide. And that is the ultimate Buddha. That is the Dangpo Sangye, the first Buddha, they say, kind of poetically, the first Buddha. He's sometimes called Samantabhadra, Kuntu Sampo, sometimes called Vajradhara, Dorje Chang. But these are not talking about, first as in, 7 bazillion years ago when it all started. In Buddhist vocabulary, whenever you see the word primordial, don't think about Big Bang or what preceded Big Bang. It's not talking about that. It's talking about in this moment, before samsara was produced in this moment, the moment right before that, that is the Dangpo Sangye, that is the first Buddha. First Buddha, then samsara. First Buddha, samsara. Every moment that's happening. First Buddha, then samsara. First Buddha, samsara. The Buddha moment is so brief right now. Then the drama of samsara unfolds for the next minute or next second. Then first Buddha, then samsara confusion unfolds and lots of story to tell. But that nature, in the Vajrayana level, we say the guide, his or her job, his or her function is to show us that nature. And so that's the inner Buddha refuge. The inner Dharma refuge is the Idam deity, which is the meditation deity that we identify with in Vajrayana practice. Right? So Tara, Avalokiteshvara, and all the, from the one face, 2 arms and 2 legs to, many faces, many arms and many legs. All of that. But they are not, like gods running around out there. They are Dharma embodied. But not only are they Dharma embodied, they are the embodiment of Dharma that we have to actualize. So now Dharma is no longer a set of ideas, but Dharma is something that we actualize with our body and mind, which is also what Idam deity practice is about. It's more than visualizing. It's actualizing with this body and mind the Buddha that we are. Then Takas Dakini Dharmapalas, again, on the surface level, they are talking about these beings, just like the great bodhisattvas in the general Sangha, or the great arhats in the general Sangha, have the power to serve like nurses, right? If Buddha Shakyamuni was the doctor and the Dharma is the medicine that he prescribes, then the great bodhisattvas and the great arhats of the past that still in some ways exist and can assist us now, they are seen as the nurses, right? Now, in this inner aspect of Sangha, which we call Dharmapalas, Dharma protectors, Dakinis, and Viras, right? Actually, Dakini, in the Indian context, they are actually what we think of as witches. So there is a dangerous, unpredictable dark side to Dakinis in general. So why do we say the inner Sangha is this kind of being? So now, right, instead of just holding on to the idea that the way the great bodhisattvas and the great arhats help us is to make things easier for us. That's like on the outer level of refuge. We think like that. Oh, they will make things easier for us. They will see that, oh, I'm such a sincere Dharma practitioner, and so they are going to be sweet to me. And they're going to keep me out of harm's way, right? But here we say, actually, no. Now, they are going to manifest in ways that you might not immediately recognize that they are actually aiding us. In fact, we might even first response as, ooh, what is this witch doing here? Like, oh, you witch, right? And heroes, right? Vira, right? Sounds very good, just like Dakini, Kandroma in Tibetan, like this, those who traverse space or sky, those who travel in space, those who travel in the sky, right? It sounds like, ooh, but we're talking about witches, riding on brooms across the sky. Well, I mean, Indian witches don't ride on brooms, but that's the connotation. Vira's heroes, the connotation is heroes, heroic, but really in the original context, it's sort of like you call bullies heroes because you don't want them to harass you. So these are like Dharma bullies, which sometimes, Dharma centers seem to be filled with them. I'm not talking about those types of bullies, That's just a misinterpretation of Dharma. Dharma centers can be filled with Dharma police and Dharma bullies, going around making sure everybody is following party line, right? And asserting hierarchy and all of that. No, here what I mean by viras as this inner refuge, the third of the inner refuge, is that then if we have the power to perceive and to recognize all the experiences that is arising, experiences that we like, experiences that we don't like, experiences that we habitually think is helpful, and experiences that we habitually think is harmful, if we know how to recognize them. And how we know to recognize them don't accidentally happen. It comes from cultivating idam deity, identifying with idam deity. When you're identified with the idam, then all conditions that arise, naturally they become the Dharmapalas, the Dakinis, and the Viras. Yeah, so on that level, we are helped by being challenged. As much as we are also helped by being protected. After all, the first of the three Dharmapalas, literally Dharma protectors. But even that, I think culturally Tibetans have kind of treated Dharmapalas as like servants, Oh, do this for me. Oh, take care of that for me, remove obstacles for me. But I think if we look at the term Dharmapala, right, they are not, personal bodyguards. Dharmapala, pala means protector or defender. Who do they defend? Who do they protect? The Dharma. The integrity of the Dharma. Because as our practice becomes more and more subtle and more profound, then we will come to a stage where it is said that challenges become harder to recognize. Yeah, it becomes harder to recognize that this is a challenge to be overcome, and this is an attainment to rest in. So as our practice becomes more intense and more subtle, we do need the Dharmapalas to make sure that the integrity of the Dharma is preserved and that our afflictive emotions don't masquerade themselves and make us think that we are going on the right way when in fact we are destroying the Dharma, so to say.
I totally get this.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have a tonka in my bedroom of green Tara.
Mm-hmm.
I call her my Yam Tara.
Mm-hmm.
In Chinese, it means mother. And I look at when I get done brushing my teeth, and then I turn off the light, and then I go in and I wish her good night, and I look at her at night without the
Mm-hmm.
light.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, does she come alive, and she don't look like green Tara. She looks like let's see, she looks like who is that one deity that we just got through with in Virginia? I forgot Naratmia, and she looks like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, she looks like one of those dark ones, and I'm going, yay, you look alive tonight. It's really cool, and and
Yes.
she puts me on my toes, and I really get this
Mm-hmm.
because these demons are here giving you warnings that you're going either the wrong way or you go this way or something's coming up. So I don't know how many of the Sangha is getting all this, but it's good to know because I this is what I've been developing as of late in my practice.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Good.
And so it is very interesting that you brought all this up because they're not servants.
Yes.
They're acknowledging them and you're praising them and you're keeping them alive with every oh gosh, come on, brain. With every praise or every time you praise them or pray to them, you're acknowledging them, you're giving them life.
Yeah.
You're giving them life. And then in turn they give you back. It's kind of like a partnership to me.
Yes.
So that's the way I see it. I don't have any servants. If I wanted a servant, I would have to have a cook and a housekeeper. But other than that, no, these guys are not servants. Even Jimbala, I give him water. They're like pets. I mean, like you said, they're like pets. You have to give them praise every morning, give them praise, and you know, acknowledge them, because you have these deities. I mean, you have these tonkas, you have these statues, you have these symbolisms. They're there for a reason. They're not just there to look at.
Mm-hmm.
You taught me some of this. So I mean, you know, it's just not something there to look at. I mean, like the Christian cross, it's there to remind you that you're Christian, or you know, that kind of thing. It's not quite like that.
Mm-hmm.
You're there every morning. You got to practice. You got to get up, and I don't. Maybe I'm going over and over and over, but it's really cool. I think for Buddhism, or this kind of faith, it goes even deeper and deeper as you get into it, and the longer you get in, the longer you're at it, the more you grow, and the more you get into it, the more you learn. I mean, whether it's Tibetan or any of it, so it's all this has a point, and all this has a reason to it. Okay, I'll be quiet now. It's not my class. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Now we'll have everybody say something. Christina, did you tell us who you are?
Oh, no, I didn't. I'm Christina von Tromsenhaus, from Asheville, North Carolina, downtown. Yeah, I'm the downtown girl. So, yeah. Hopefully I made some sense to somebody.
So far we have 3 Asheville, 1 Rhode Island. Come on, the rest of you.
I'm Suzanne Passenger. I'm in Richmond, Virginia.
Richmond, Virginia. Hi, Suzanne.
Hi.
Happy New Year to all of you, by the way.
Likewise to you. Kevin says hi.
Oh, hi.
My name is Lara Wynn. I'm from Chicago, Illinois, soon to be moving to South Carolina.
Oh, okay. Must be cold in Chicago right now.
Yeah, I mean, 30s isn't so bad. It's whenever we get into the negatives.
Yeah. And you said you're moving?
Yes, so my family will be relocating to South Carolina in the next couple months.
Oh, where in South Carolina?
I think around Beaufort, Bluffington area.
Okay.
Nothing is really set in stone, but hopefully.
Yeah. So along the coast.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, nice.
Actually, I've been following this Sangha group from the time I lived in Iowa in 2020 now. So it's been 3 years since I lived in Iowa. So I've been following you guys since then, and I actually started following your teachings from the podcast. Then the podcast stopped coming up, and I had to get my fix, and so I decided to join the Facebook group. But
yeah, the podcast kind of dried up, and we have different incarnations, you know.
Well, I appreciate everything that I've learned from you over the past few years.
Good.
I'm sorry, I gotta say this. Happy New Year to you, Dr. Lai.
Happy New Year. I saw this meme on Facebook. It was a monk, I think a Sri Lankan monk, shared this meme I saw. He said, in case you already failed in your New Year resolution, he said, don't worry, there's 19 more New Years coming up. And so it listed all the different cultures and their different New Years, you know, that within this next 12 months, there's 19 more to come. So you have 19 more chances of making resolutions and perhaps failing them. But I think today is like a Ladakhi, no, not Ladakhi, some Aryan New Year. Yeah, in the southern part of Ladakh, they are the Aryan people, and they are celebrating their New Year. Like I think today, yeah.
19 New Year's in 1 year.
At least. Yeah, 19 different cultures have different New Year days spread out throughout our, Gregorian calendar year.
I'll introduce myself. My birth name is Caroline, and my Dharma name is Savannah Amata, and I live in Asheville, North Carolina.
We were supposed to get in touch, and you were supposed to get me some.
Yeah, when the texts are available, don't worry yet. Nothing has been sent out yet.
Remember, I'm willing to pay a little bit.
You don't need to pay our song. We got lots of paper. We got lots of printers here. We're all right.
Okay. Thank you.
So I'm not gonna do the thing. I'll wait until everybody speak. That's not the point of saying you speak when you feel like and introduce yourself. But we don't need to go down the firing range. Some of you might, I'm sure, legitimately will be asking like, okay, what is the program? What are we doing? So first of all, like this is not so much about what is the program. There's no program in the sense of you'll be disappointed if you think, oh, we're going to have a start point, end point, and then when the end point, we will get this or we will get that. I know I'm not even saying you think you'll get enlightened. You know enough to not, think that. But, it's not a training program like after 2 years, you are this or you are that. It's not. It's a context for us to be together to practice. And as I said, even that, my expectations are fairly, low in the sense that I'm not saying to you that, okay, if you're joining us with this, then, like daily, you have to do 2 hours or even 20 minutes, and you have to do this practice, you have to do that practice. That's not what I'm trying to do with this Sangha, with this gathering. So, but what I am asking for, and I'll repeat myself again, is that if you participate, which I understand, like there's no like, oh yeah, I'm going to participate for life, at any given point, you have many reasons that, you think you should continue or you should not continue. And preemptively, I will say no hard feelings, So don't make it weird by suddenly disappearing, just get in touch and say, I'm going to do something else, It's like, yeah, like enough pasta already. I'm going to try bread now, Again, no hard feelings, So then, what is a commitment is I would say to commit to trying to make it to these Wednesday meetings. And life is unpredictable. Yeah, some Wednesdays maybe you can't make it, but don't like at the drop of the pin. It's like, oh yeah, I can watch this later. I'm going to go do something else. Of course, for yourself, it's not very, very beneficial. But I can't talk you out of that or talk you into that, for that matter. But here I want to say my request of you not coming and going is that it affects, I think, the group, the energy of the group. If people are coming, going, coming, going, coming, going. So out of like an interest to minimize distraction for the people who are committed, yeah, I'm asking that you do your best to fulfill that commitment of like, yes, I want to be involved in this Sangha. I like to practice with this Sangha. And so I will prioritize this Sangha meeting. So that's the one request. Then, as I said, like there is no like a fixed program necessarily that we're doing. But soon enough, I will begin to introduce a short ngondro. Tibetan tradition, they're always talking about ngondro. And often when you talk about ngondro, people are talking about the 100,000 prostrations, 100,000 vajrasattva, 100,000 mandala offering, 100,000 guru yoga practice, sometimes 100,000 bodhicitta prayers, and so on and so forth. And people immediately think of the 100,000s. The tradition of designating 100,000 appeared at a particular point in Tibetan history. It's pretty clear to me that in the 12th century, in the 13th century, there is no evidence of that going on as routine, right? Now, an individual teacher might say to an individual student, I want you to do 100,000 of this or that. But as a routine, that, this is ngondro, you need to do 100,000, I see no evidence of that. Even what we now call ngondro, like even within Drikung Kagyu, so now when we say ngondro, we said there is the 4 common foundations or preliminaries and the 4 uncommon. The 4 commons are also called the 4 thoughts that turn the mind. So they are common not in the sense of like Buddhism for dummies. They're common in the sense of, if you are a Dharma practitioner, this is what grounds all of us, regardless of how advanced you are as a practitioner and how new you are as a practitioner. These 4 understandings, these 4 reminders, these 4 ways to turn away from distraction is always necessary for us to visit and to revisit and to revisit, so that we will truly turn away from distractions that ultimately keep us in bondage. So those are the 4 common foundations, right? Now, even with these 4 common foundations, the 4 thoughts that turn the mind, in some of the texts by Jigten Sumgön, the founder of the lineage, when he talks about the common preliminaries, you don't get all 4 there. Sometimes he only gives 3. Sometimes he only mentions 2. Because back then, there was never standard set of instructions. Just as when you look at the early records of Buddha's way of teaching disciples, there was no one set of things that everybody did. No, Buddha just gave according to what that particular person needed. Presumably, later on, this person comes back to the Buddha or comes to one of the Buddha's senior disciples, who would then further instruct and say, okay, now you develop this, now you develop that. Yeah. So it was a lot more organic. Then with the uncommon preliminaries, which is uncommon in the sense of they are now preparing you for specifically the Vajrayana approach. But the Vajrayana approach never hangs out there alone. It's always supported by the Mahayana motivation, which is supported by the Hinayana determination to be free. The essence of the Hinayana is the determination to be free, free from suffering, free from confusion. The essence of Mahayana is others before self. as much as I feel that I am important, over here is I, over there is infinity minus 1, I. So how can the welfare of infinity minus 1 equal 1? If you think of it in those terms, you're like, oh my God, what a jerk I am. But we so naturally operate on that, universal jerk level, which is 1 is more important than infinity minus 1. So bodhicitta is based on a very reasonable position, which is infinity minus 1 has to be more important, has to count more than 1. Counterintuitive, but how can you argue against that? The welfare of infinity minus 1 is infinitely more important than the welfare of 1. So the Mahayana essence is self before, not self, others before self. Then with those two strongly there, then the powerful methods of transformation given in the Vajrayana can actually function as Vajrayana. Without these two elements, even if you attempt the techniques and the methods of Vajrayana, they never work as Vajrayana. Do you understand this point? Yeah. So the true, the true kind of there is the designation of Buddha's teachings in the Hinayana, Mahayana, Vajrayana in a formalistic way, but that formalistic way is not what's most important. What's most important is our level of maturity and development, so that when we are ready, when we actually have the Hinayana determination to be free, the Mahayana others before self, when these two are really genuine and strong, then when you pick up Vajrayana, so to say, it will produce the results that it claims to produce. Right now, you look at Vajrayana material, it says, upon receiving empowerment, you achieve the Buddha state. Then you're like, oh, maybe I'm already Buddha. I went to a lot of empowerments. What that means there is, when we attain those empowerments, our renunciation, determination to be free, so-so. Others before self, yeah, I like that idea, but I don't do that. Because in fact, I stood in line to make sure that I get to sit front row during this empowerment. Who wants to sit back there? Can't even hear what the Lama is saying. Or I need to sit on the front row because the Lama's saliva, has a lot of blessings. Other before self, gone out the window, So you can go to a lot of empowerments, but they are not functioning as Vajrayana empowerments. It's not because it has no power. It's not because the Vajrayana is lying to us. It's just like, we have no power to wield that method. Right?
The power is the ego.
No. Here we're not talking about power as ego. Now we're talking about ability, power, ability to handle Vajrayana.
Yeah, because we gave it to the ego, and we don't have ego. We can handle the Vajrayana.
Yeah, more than ego, more than the issue of ego. Yeah, like I said, one is renunciation and one is others before self. These are the two, the Hinayana and the Mahayana. Yeah.
Dr. Lai.
Mm-hmm.
Randy from California, y'all.
Hi.
Hi. It reminds me of when we talk about a lot of the lamas coming over and teaching very advanced things.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people said, oh my gosh, these secrets aren't safe among people who don't know how to use them. But
Yes.
what you said reminds me that they're the safest.
Yes.
People who don't know how to use them.
Yeah, people don't know what to do with it, you know.
Yeah, and it doesn't work. So
Right.
they aren't in any real danger as far as actually being able to use the concept.
Yes, yes, yes.
But they are entranced and they are attracted.
Right.
Which
right.
is the magic of those teachings.
Yeah. Milarepa, for example, there are some kind of examples like that. Like if you look at the songs of Milarepa, which I've been, slowly going over that with one group in Arkansas. So there are some of you here. So we've been going through that material. And what you see in Milarepa is how oftentimes, right, when he meets like a hunter, a young girl or an old lady or a young man, what you see is almost quite frequent. I will not say always, but quite frequently, Milarepa goes directly to the pointing out instructions. He goes directly to talking about nature of mind. Then you can see how whoever is listening go, wow. In one case, I remember because we just recently read that, he told the boy, he said, there are a couple of boys that were kind of wandering around in the mountains and they ran across him and the other friends were not interested, but this one boy, and then Milarepa immediately gave what we now call pointing out instructions. He said, you go look at your mind, you go look at your mind, and you tell me, and look at your mind is too literal a translation, I would say. Basically, what Milarepa is saying is, you go look at yourself, okay? Whatever you think yourself is, you go look at that. I want you to do this from tonight until tomorrow. And then when you come back tomorrow, I'm going to ask you some questions about what did you see? So the boy came back and said, well, last night I went back and you said, look at myself. So I looked, and I looked and I looked. I said, well, it's not this. Then the boy said, then I looked. And then I looked and I thought, okay, well, it must be like whoever is doing the looking. Yeah, Milarepa said, okay, very good, very good. Then Milarepa said, okay, so did you get closer to identifying who is doing the looking? And he said, yeah, but every time I think I come close to it, it kind of slips away. And Milarepa said, okay, very good, very good. Now you go again. I want you to go keep tracking to find this. Who is it that is doing the looking? Looking for who I am. Then he comes back the next day. Then it is said, the boy had some kind of awakening. Then it says there, then Milarepa said to him, okay, now let me tell you about refuge. And then now I'll give you refuge. Now let me teach you cause and effect, what karma is. So he hooked them in with like what's really advanced. According to the way we now think about it. Oh, you have to do Yongondro, then you have to do this, then you have to do this, then finally we will give you that. But there's a lot of evidence that Milarepa did not teach in this way. Not all the time, but enough times that he went directly at, the things that kind of like give us like, oh, wow. Yeah. So
Well,
I thought
it's
I would
so
share with you.
dry. And
Sorry?
it's so dry that way. Not
Mhm.
the more advanced stuff, because we all have it. At least it feels like each of us can be touched by it somehow. We all have been, but it's so dry the other way. And once Milarepa hooked him, then he has effort, he has
Yes.
determination,
Yes.
he have discipline, all
Yes.
the things that he needed.
Yeah.
So that's a great story.
So in one of the Vajra statements of Kyobaji Densumgan, he says, it could also be the case where wisdom is developed prior to discipline and meditative concentration. So these are called the 3 trainings. First, ethical or disciplined conduct, then leading to stability in meditation, which gives rise to wisdom. But in one of the Vajra statements, he says, it could also be the case. It can also work where insight appears first. Then from that insight, you develop disciplined conduct, which enhances your meditative powers, which gives rise to further wisdom. Yeah, so he says that as well. Which is to say that, and this is where I am saying, my approach to like us as a group is not just my crazy haphazardness. It's that I'm seeing that there's another way where it doesn't involve all of us doing exactly the same thing. That is just like producing an identity, so to say. Right? I mean, there's something to be said about producing an identity, but that's not my interest in whatever number of years that is left. I have no interest in having a group of people saying, "Oh, we have this identity." No, I'm not interested in that. But what I am interested in is to help facilitate and to connect to all of you and to get to meet all of you when I can fly again, and share the Dharma, and to see how Dharma is actually it's flexible in the sense that you need to know how to kind of make it blend with your life rather than try to impose an external structure that you're forcing into your situation. At the same time, of course, be careful not to pervert the Dharma. So Dharmas of Gampopa said, may the Dharma go with Dharma. Literally, may the Dharma go with Dharma. Because a lot of times, the Dharma that we practice is not going in the direction of Dharma. It's going to serve other purposes. But we have to make sure that that doesn't happen. And not once, but when we appreciate the importance of Dharma going in the direction of Dharma, then we can afford, we need not be afraid of being flexible when it comes to how do we blend our minds with the Dharma. In that way, we all have to take responsibility for our own process. And no one else can do it for you. And even Buddha Shakyamuni, if he was alive today, even Milarepa, if he was alive today, he can't do that for you. You have to take responsibility for your own process, for your own development. Teachers, great and not so great, can help. Yes, for sure, But you are not here, to become facsimile of your teacher or your teachers. That's the meaning of, saying, when we say become one with the guru is not the person. The guru is the Dharmakaya, we said. Yeah, I think I told, maybe it was a different group, I said, I was listening to a podcast by one of the greatest Western students of Tibetan Buddhism, I would say. German, Karl Brunholzer. I don't know how to say his last name. Here is his latest book. Yeah. It's called Sounds of Innate Freedom, the Indian Text of Mahamudra, Volume 5. No, you did not miss Volume 1 to 4. They published Volume 5 first. So he is like, one of the most prolific and great translators. Kamakagyu student, basically, like one of the great Kempos, although Kempo is a monastic title, he's not monk, so he cannot use that title. But, in terms of like learned and experience as well, I don't think he's just learning words. He trained under some of the greatest Kamakagyu masters. He, in one of the interviews, podcasts, he said, he asked an important teacher, someone who eventually became one of his key main teachers. Like, would you be my guru? He asked that. He said he asked that, and he said the Lama's face was such a face of like being disgusted with the question. Yeah, like, like, what are you talking about? And then he said, then that Lama reached over and like pinched him, and like was painful, pinched him. And then he said to him, the Lama is not the body. And sort of gave him, and he said, basically, it was a pointing out instruction for him, like a bulb, came on, like ding. The Lama is not the body. The Guru is not the body. And he said, don't follow that. Then after that, he said, this teacher said, and yes, I will teach you. He said, will you be my teacher? It's like, oh, yuck. Teacher is not the form, it's not the body, it's the Dharmakaya. And yes, I will teach you.
It's funny what you just said, Dr. Lai. Reminds me of my teacher's teacher, Wangdor Rinpoche. In the caves above Sao Pema, he was teaching on the 3 words that strike up the heart from Garib Dorji.
Yes.
And the thing he kept saying to all these Western students with my teacher translating was, you need to look at your mind. Don't look at me. You need to look at your mind. That's the most important thing. Do not put this off.
Yes.
And he was notorious for constantly telling people to do that. Mind looking again and again. And versus the constant, I think, especially in the West, we get caught up in the bells, smells, and Vadras and all that, which are good. That's fine. But like you said with Milarepa, the most important thing is getting to the heart of the matter. And if we can do that, then the rest follows suit very naturally.
Right. So what is this mind, what is this mind? Not in an intellectual investigation, especially in the Kagyupa tradition, there's a somewhat, distrust of like intellectual somersaults, intellectual gymnastics. It's very heart-based, but it's not heart-based like, blind faith heart-based, but it's a very intimate heart-based appeal from teacher to student to say, remember what is most important, what are we here for, right? What is this most important thing that we need to know, we need to understand, we need to get acquainted with? Whatever words, there are a lot of different words used to describe this, the mind, the heart, the big sky mind, in other traditions, universal consciousness, blah, 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 all of that. It's not even like their philosophies that fundamentally is a problem. It's how we latch on to terms and terminology and then think, I got it. Until suffering turns up, when you realize you are actually impoverished. And then when death starts to unfold, then you know that you have completely wasted your whole life. As Ajahn Chah says, collecting chicken shit rather than eggs. He said, it's like, don't be, when you raise chickens, you raise them for their eggs, not for their droppings. Although I have some people say, but if you want fertilizer, I was like, yeah. He means like, don't collect the droppings to go make omelets, And so it's heart-based in the sense of saying, like, yes, we could be doing so many things. Right? And so many aspects of the Dharma can be so amazing to build up a worldview, to build up a society based on Dharma, all of those things. Yes, it's meaningful to do, but at the end of the day, this is not what the Dharma is for. You say, I want to infuse my economy with Dharma. I want to infuse my politics with Dharma. I want to infuse my blah, blah, blah with Dharma. Yes, you can do that. Because we all have different interests, we all have different passions, right? So yes, but don't forget, at the heart of Dharma is to look at who am I? What is this thing called mind or heart? Big sky mind, all sorts of fancy terms. Why is it so important to see this, to recognize this? Because when we see this, even just a glimpse of it, then we know freedom is possible, meaning freedom of being a Buddha is possible. And once we have experienced that, we are no longer so tethered to this body, this identity, this name, this place, this whatever. It doesn't mean that we don't care about the body anymore, but we are not enslaved to this body, this identity, this politics, this ideology, this whatever. So we can infuse the different realms that we are involved in life with the Dharma, for sure. But don't lose sight of what the Dharma is pointing us to. It's pointing us to the way of freedom, freedom of the heart. So nature of mind, Rigpa, all sorts of words, yeah. I was meeting with someone just last week, and basically talking about, they were telling me about the history of their own spirituality. Long story short, and of course, this is someone else's story. It's not my business to go talk in details about, but the general contours is basically this person saying, I'm now at this point where, realistically, if you look at my age, it's like the last chapter. But I have lost faith in what I grew up with, and I struggle to connect with it back and forth. And at this point, as much as I really admire Dharma, this person has never been completely involved. It's their partner It says, I admire what I see in my partner, but I don't feel that I can like start, Buddhism now. So I, worked with that, and honestly, I said, I'm not concerned that you start Buddhism now. I said, that's not the point. Yeah. First of all, I'm not concerned that you start Buddhism now. That's not the point. So I said, but let's talk about, insofar as, taking the next chapter beyond the chapter of this life. Now that's the most important question to settle, or at least gain some kind of understanding, so that between this and next chapter, you are not going to enter it with fear. Yeah, so now let's talk about that. So in a way, whether we are 18 years old or 88 years old, in a way, the essence of Dharma is asking that question. Yeah, what is this? What is this? What is this I? What is this mind? What is this me? And so, especially, I think the early Kagyu masters, they were very skilled and very committed to training their students in that way. At that time, Dharma has nothing to do, and not much to do with politics, not much to do with economy, not much to do with, all the other concerns of the world. It's not always bad, I'm not criticizing. I'm just saying, like I said, all of you have different things that you're committed to. Yes, go infuse the Dharma with it, to the best of your ability. But again, what Buddha Shakyamuni taught is more important than all the changing conditions. That necessarily, when we are in them, we have to know how to deal with them. But all those changing conditions, like it's like I've been brainwashed in a way, happily brainwashed in a way that I think, like of all the political systems that we have, right, democracy is the best. But from a Dharma perspective, that is going to go away. I don't know what it will be replaced by, maybe complete chaos, But from the Dharma perspective, yeah. So, but while it is still available and while it's still here, if you are inspired to, yes, infuse the Dharma into your democratic system, right? It can help. But that's not what the Dharma is most concerned about. Yeah.
Have you ever heard the song "Merrily, Merrily, Merrily, Life is but a Dream"? Yep. That's the meaning of it. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream.
Row, 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 row your boat.
Yeah, that's the one.
And do you know the meaning of row, 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 row your boat?
You're rowing down the stream.
Why do you need to row?
Your path. I don't know. You can go ahead.
Because even though life is a dream, you cannot be adrift. You have to row. Yeah, this is the ultimate and relative truth, inseparable.
Yep.
Yeah, great emptiness on the one hand, cause and effect on the other hand. You have to row. You cannot say, oh, life is but a dream, throw away your oar.
No, you can't throw away the oars.
Yes, so you keep rowing. You have to row your boat, but you row it with the understanding that life is but a dream.
And you have to row to the other shore.
Yes.
To the ultimate. You just can't.
We're going to conclude. We have 6 more minutes.
Okay. I'll be quiet.
We're going to conclude with, to introduce to you one very popular, common practice. Then next time, maybe we can talk about it. In a way, it's good that we don't have time to talk about this. Javier, I just shared with you a text that I don't know if you're able to pull up. If you are, just share the screen.
Okay, yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, the 21 praises. But let's go straight to the 21 praises. Yeah. So I'll make this text, available alongside with some of the other texts that we're going to be using. In terms of the process of doing that, on the website, we will soon have a formal page where you kind of formally join this Sangha program. So there's some questionnaire, to just kind of make it a way to formalize. Then when you submit that, then we will create a mailing list specifically. And that point, we will send out in the mailing list, to the mailing list, information on how to access the protected area of the website. We're still working on that. So hold your horses. Maybe next week is when we will actually tell you, okay, we got the page up. It's basically Javier doing all the hard work. I'm just saying, hey, can you do this? Hey, can you do that? But he has a full-time job. He has, 3 kids and about yay tall. So, actually, this is all just an excuse saying he's very busy. Even though he's very busy, he's always ahead of me. I'm the one that is behind. So truth be told. So I'm holding back things. But so be patient a little bit. Soon we will get this ready. Then you can, officially sign up, so to say, for the program and make a commitment there. And then we will give you access to the protected part of the website. Yeah. So if you have been receiving emails from info@drigungdharmakirti.com, if you have been receiving emails, then no issue. But if you have given your email address, you have registered on that website, but you still don't see emails from us, it's because your email reader has hidden it away. So you need to do a search of all your emails for info@drigungdharmakirti.com.
Look at your spam.
Yeah, so it will pull that up. And then you need to mark that as, one of your contacts, especially if you're using Gmail. They have all these fancy folders and this and that. It just push things all over the place. A lot of times it hides things away. Yeah. So we're going to conclude with the chant of the 21 praises to the foremost Lady Tara. This version in English has been translated so that it's chantable. This is Eric Kunzampema, one of Tuku Urgyen's senior disciples, and one of the very experienced translator. He came up with this chantable version, chantable in English. So we're going to conclude by doing this 21 praises. Yeah. So I will do the chant, and then you can listen, and then if you find that okay, I'm getting the hang of the melody, the tune, and then you can chant on your end. Yeah. Om, homage to Tara, the noble and sublime. Homage to Tara, swift and courageous. You drive away all our fears with Tara. Savioress, fulfilling all aims with the Ture. With syllable Swaha, we offer you homage. Homage to Tara, swift and courageous. Gazes as quick as flashes of lightning. From Lord of Trilokia, his face like a lotus, you rose on a billionfold blossoming stamens. Homage to you with a face that resembles a meeting of 100 full moons in autumn, and who with the brightness of stars by the thousands shine in a vast perfect light of resplendence. Homage to Tara, to you, the golden hued lady, whose hand is adorned by a blue lotus flower. Your scope of activity is giving exertion, fortitude, peace, tolerance, meditation. Homage to you, the victorious, boundless, from the Tathagata's crown emanated, those who obtain every transcendent virtue. Offspring of victors rely on your guidance. Homage to you, filling realms of desire, is aspect and space with the Hung and Tutara. Sevenfold worlds under feet you can trample. You bring all and everything under your power. Homage to you who is worshipped by Indra, Agni, Marut, Vishweswara, and Brahma, all the Vetalas, Buddhas, Gandharvas, as well as the Yakshas give praise in your presence. Homage to you who by tread and the pet sounds crush every magical wheel evil forces. Right leg extended and left bent you trample. Within reeling flames you are blazing intensely. Homage to you, the swift terrifying, who conquers the most tenacious of Maras. Knitting the brow on your lotus-like features, you slay every foe without an exception. Homage to you with your fingers in mudra, adorning your heart to show the three jewels. Your masses of light are beautiful swirling, connecting with every direction in circles. Homage to you from your crown manifesting, joyous, majestic, brilliant garlands, with the great clangor of laughter to Tara. Demons and worlds are in your domination. Homage to you with the magnetized powers, who gather protectors of earth in assembly, with syllable hung in your brow which is frowning. You liberate every poor destitute being. Homage to you with the crescent and moon crown, while your adornments so brilliantly sparkle. And Amitabha is placed in your top knot, ceaselessly vast rays of light radiating. Homage to you, seated in flaming garlands, engulfed in the fire like the end of the Kalpa, right leg extended and left bent defeating enemy hordes with your joy-bringing swirling. Homage to you, with your palms you are striking the earth while using your feet to be stamping. Regally frowning with the Hung letter, you shatter the sevenfold layers of locusts. Homage to you, blissful, virtuous, and peaceful. Enjoy the domain of the tranquil nirvana. Fully possessing the Om and the Swaha, you overcome even the greatest of evils. Homage to you who, encircled by joyous, utterly smashes the forms of opponents, clearing away with the Hung of awareness, arranges the mantra by tenfold of letters. Homage to you with feast to stamping Ture, fully presenting the form of the Hung seed. You cause the three worlds to all be a tremble, including Mount Meru, Mandara, and Vindhya. Homage to you, in whose hands is a deer marked, shaped like the Deva's ocean of nectar, sound of the pet and the twice uttered Tara, without an exception dispels every poison. Homage to you who is asked for your guidance by rulers of devas, by gods and kinnaras. Your armor of joy, a radiant brightness, removes every nightmare and calms every quarrel. Homage to you whose two eyes are shining with brilliant light like the sun and the full moon, by Tutara and with the twice chanted Hara. You clear away even infectious diseases. Homage to you who can calm down completely through the array of the threefold thatness. Crowds of Vetalas, Buddhas, and Yakshas, suppressed with the two rays sublime Mother Tara. Together with this, the root mantra in praise form. These were the 21 verses of homage. Javier, can you go to the very beginning, or right before the 21 Taras? Right before 21 Taras, there is one verse. Okay, go up, page 4. Yes. So this is the dedication. The Tara, 21 Taras, there is a tradition of also chanting the sevenfold puja before it. And the seventh of the sevenfold is the dedicating of merit. So tonight we will do this short dedication of merit. So together, whatever virtue I may have gathered, may it become a cause for the awakening of all. May I quickly become an excellent guide for all wandering beings. So, we are done tonight. Any last questions or comments before we all take off?
Your next, sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
Samantha from.
Hi.
Hi. Quick question: are you going to explain us about the some interesting names I saw and in the homage in the 21?
Maybe not. Who knows?
Because I understand about half.
It's okay. Yes, yeah. Of course, eventually. Of course, eventually I will explain. I'm a little bit teasing. Maybe not. No, of course, eventually I'll explain. But also, I want to say this. In the past, I will quickly yes, I will explain, because I think it's more about feeling good that I can give an answer to all the questions. But now I've learned more. Many of us, myself, one of them, have this addiction that I don't even know, to information. It makes sense. It really makes sense. Especially because many of us probably stopped following. If our parents raised us with some religion, maybe not, but if they did, we probably stopped following that tradition, in part because so often when we ask a question, the answer tends to be, don't ask so much, just do it, right? So some of us have been scarred, have been negatively affected by that experience. And in part, our attraction to Buddhism is because it seems to have answer for everything. Like everything can be explained, right? Even down to you're like, what? Like even that fact that they have two hands, the Buddha, has a meaning? Wow. Or like the Buddha is orange because it means this. The Buddha is red because it means that. You're like, what? It's not like the painter decided to give that color, So we have gotten so used to, like everything seemingly have an answer, right? But one of the dangers of that is that we might mistakenly think those answers is the most important. Actually, they're not. They're pointing to something else. That words and concepts are limited. So that's why I said, it's good we'll chant the 21 praises when I have no chance to talk about it. So it will stay there a little bit mysterious. Like, what is this? That is very strange. Who is she? Why is she like this or like that? That's good. So don't worry. Yeah, I will explain. Well, to the degree I'm able to explain. And the truth is, I think I've looked at some of the traditional commentaries on the 21 Taras. I have to say, sometimes they have no idea also what it means. Because, the most important things, words and concepts cannot reach. Shantideva reminds us that. He says, as for the realm of the ultimate truth, words and concepts cannot touch. But there's a lot of things that words and concepts can touch and should touch. That, of course, is good for us to know. Good question. You all have a good night. Okay, unmute yourself and say good night to each other. Buenas noches.
Night.
Good night,
Good
everybody.
night, everybody.
Ciao for now.
Good morning.
Buenas
Good morning,
noches.
Rose and Angels. Yes. Good work
Until
day.
later.
Good night, everybody.
Good morning. It's good morning. It's good morning.
Good
Don't
morning,
sleep. Don't sleep.
Jasper.
Don't sleep.
Karina.
Morning.
Night.
Buenas
noches.
Buenos
Buenos días.
noches.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Buenos días. Buenas noches.
Our youngest Sangha member. Hold on. One moment.
Can you say buenas
Un
noches?
momento. Ta-da!
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Is it cold where you are? Oh, yeah, it's really cold.
Season.
Okay. Good night.
Good night, all.
Ciao.
Buenas noches. Good night.